So today I'm reviewing Sorcery of Thorns. This is by Margaret Rogerson, author of Enchantment of Ravens, which I heard very mixed reviews about. But again, it had a gorgeous cover and I was quite interested in reading it for a time, but I haven't been able to get my hands on a copy of it at the moment. So this is the first book of hers I've actually read. This is a YA fantasy story involving librarians and sorcerers. It came in the June Fairy Loot box, so it's got nice shiny sparkly, I don't think you can see that, but it's got sparkly page edges. It's a very pretty edition and it is a standalone fantasy book, so if you're looking for a standalone book, here you go. We follow Elizabeth, who was dumped on the doorstep of one of the great libraries at Summerhall, and she has grown up in the library. And then one day, the director is attacked and killed. Elizabeth is the only witness to this, and she's charged with murder and releasing a dangerous book. Yes, in this world, books are actually sentient. They can talk to people, they make noise, they will attack you, and the particularly dangerous ones, the class 8, 9, 10s, they are capable of turning into vicious monsters that go on the rampage. Depending on what type of book they are. Some of the books will sing to you. So you can imagine being a librarian in this world is not as straightforward as just keeping the shelves tidy. Anyway, she's charged with this crime. She's collected by a sorcerer called Nathaniel, who is the last of his line. And then things continue on pretty much from there, and not everything is as it seems. There is a big conspiracy theory going on, which you figure out pretty early on, as does Elizabeth. And she discovers the world is not as progressive as she's been led to believe. It's another one of those where women just, sit down, shut up and look pretty. And the idea of reading books is, well, that's dangerous because the woman's brain is not equipped to read books and it inflames and gets overexcited. You're getting my point here. So Elizabeth, who's very independent, she knows her own mind, she's highly intelligent, she's got to tread her way through this pretty stupid world, to be honest, where people just haven't not got a clue. And it's very entertaining. The romance in here, because yes, there is romance, it's a fantasy YA book, it's quite gradual and it's not as obvious as you think it is as well. There's more romance going on than you actually realise quite early on, which is really nice. The supporting characters, in particular Silas, are very well drawn, very entertaining. There are some very black and white characters in here, which I'm not going to spoil for obvious reasons, but there are some where you just go, yeah, you're an arse, and there are others where you're actually, yeah, you're the good one. But for a standalone novel that introduces a whole new world with its own magic system and its own conspiracy going on and all these characters and mythology and lore, it does a really good job actually. On the back of this book, there's actually a quote from Jessica Clues, who's the author of the Kingdom on Fire trilogy, which I've never read and actually not really heard of either. But she describes Margaret Rogerson as the natural heir to Diana Wynne Jones's legacy. And I would agree with that, because she's got this way of building a world and characters that you care about in such depth and detail that it actually feels real. You don't want to come out of what you're reading because you're quite happy being in that world. And Diana Wynne Jones was very good at creating worlds that you were happy to stay in, that had this magical aspect to them, but also felt like a real world. I think Margaret, very fairly being compared to Diana, it's probably quite a vague way of describing her writing style, the magical elements in a magical world that feels real, with characters you care about and secrets that come out. So I don't know if Enchantment of Ravens is like that, but certainly Sorcery of Thorns is very much that element and style of writing. If you're not one of those that really likes the fantasy magical element in your reading, you're possibly not going to like this book and you will find it a bit of a drag. But I would say if you really like magic and the concept of books that are alive and the mixture of libraries and sorcerers, and also a strong lead who knows her own mind, who won't be pushed down, who will stand up for herself, then Sorcery of Thorns is going to be a good read for you. Like I said, it's a standalone as well, although if there's going to be more in this world, I wouldn't say no. It's very enjoyable, it's very likeable. Certainly I think a short story would be very pleasant. And the ending is very satisfying, actually. It's really cleverly wrapped up without being abrupt, which I found with a lot of YA books lately, and it all ties together very neatly, which is very pleasing. Sorcery of Thorns I would recommend for lovers of fantasy, for lovers of books, and for lovers of magic. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts down below. Obviously no spoilers, because, you know, we don't do spoilers, that's mean. My social media links are in the description box down below, as is a link to a small booktuber. Please go and check them out. And as always, thank you very much for watching and happy reading. Bye.